Hi there. Welcome to the first of what I hope to be many tool rehab videos. Now, I call this a tool rehab and not a tool restore because I'm not trying to restore these tools to what they looked like when they were new or anything like that. I'm just trying to rehabilitate them, get them in working order so that I can use them in woodworking. If I wanted brand new tools, I'd save my pennies and I'd go get brand new tools. And when I find a new tool that is worthy at a really good price, then I may buy it. But most of the tools that I have are vintage tools. They're older tools that I can find cheaply at flea markets, thrift stores, places like that, and do just a little bit of cleanup on them, and sharpen them up. Most anything you use with wood is going to be an edge tool of some kind, and use them to build with. And what I have today is a Spokeshave. Now this is, if you look at this tool, it has a flat base like a plane, Spokeshave, pretty much anything with a blade in it is basically a chisel and a jig, pretty much. This is a Stanley number 64 Spokeshave, and if you look at it, it's very much made like a plane. You've got similar to a cap iron or whatever that's called. I always get them confused, but I know what I'm talking about. And then you have a blade. This would be beveled down. The tool comes apart like so. Uh, and all I'm going to do, I know guys would sand this down or rough it up and paint it and all that. All I'm going to do is get most of the rust off of it with something like steel wool and some sandpaper on the blade if I need to, and sharpen it and put it back together and use it. But this tool is, if you've ever seen a draw knife, if you've ever been on a farm, if you've ever worked in logging or any kind of place where you have to work large pieces of lumber or rough lumber, you have to take the bark off a log or whatnot, you're going to be familiar with a draw knife. And a draw knife is similar to this, except it has a fixed blade and it's much bigger. Most of them are. You can get them in this size probably, but they're a handy tool for rough work. And eventually I will find one at a flea market somewhere that is the size that I'm looking for and grab it because they are invaluable for rough kind of work. But a Spokeshave is for finer shaping, and mostly what I'll use this for is things like guitar necks, that kind of deal. But if you look, it has this flat here, and I've done some cleaning up on there and made it flat. There's just a little lip here that's not quite. And what I'm going to do, I've got this plate glass. Take some glass cleaner, and I'm just going to set this down here. This is 320 sandpaper. And I'm just flattening this out a little bit. And the thing with it is if I don't get all the way to the edge of that corner, it's not going to be that big of a deal because I'm basically just using this for shaping. I won't be planing with it like a plane. I'm not going to be using it on really wide flat surfaces. Basically I'll use it on a corner and round that corner over kind of deal. So I really don't need it to be dead flat all the way to the corners. But there's no reason not to try to at least flatten it out a bit so that it can be used And so now I can see that I'm having some problems there. So what I'm going to do, and this is used paper, you have to excuse me, I've got it over here out of the way. I know I thought I had some 220 somewhere. Yeah, this is used sandpaper. You can see, no biggie. It works just fine. Used, not used. But I'll take this 220, see if I can do anything faster with it. It's coming along. So what I'm going to do now is I'll come back to you when this is done. It won't take long. Alright, let's see. Alright, we're pretty close to done here. There's just a little bit right there still, but I'm not going to worry about that. I think it will be just fine just the way that it is. That's done for me. I apologize for picture quality right now. The sun has come out really bright. I've adjusted my exposure as well as I can, but I do not know if it's going to be enough. I won't know until I view the video. But I'm working with what I've got, and it's the best I can do. And I hope that it is good enough for you. If not, I want to tell you. But I'm going to kind of knock off, take this steel wool, and knock down any kind of rust. Now, I might at a later date come back and put some enamel on it, some black enamel, or pretty much any color that I fancy, but probably not. As long as it doesn't rust, I'm not really worried about what it looks like. I'm going to take this and run some. What I might do here is take some 220 set you off to the side. And I'm just trying to knock off some rust. Once again, not trying to make it brand new or beautiful. Or anything like that. Just don't want it to rust. Let me see. On the blade, here's some 120. on the blade once again, just so it is clean of rust and dirt. Not trying to bring it up to a shine. Let's see what we're doing here. Just cleaning that up a bit. Stanley blade, original Stanley blade, that's good. That was hidden under the muck and the dirt. And another thing that I'm doing here is just like a chisel. I'm trying to flatten the back of this so that and I'll do that like this and bring it over here to the edge so that when I go to hone, the edges will meet evenly and well. Alright, lovely. So now, what I'm going to do before I do anything else, I'm going to put a little bit of oil. That's just mineral oil. A little bit of oil on this. Wipe most of it off, just to keep a small residue of oil on it. And then we're going to move from sandpaper to honing. A little bit of glass cleaner. This is a 400 grit side of a combination diamond stone. And I'm just getting the back of this. And I'm not trying to build a watch. Not building a rocket. Not a brain surgery. That kind of thing. All I'm doing is trying to prep the back of this. Flip over to the 1000 grit side. And it don't have to be perfect. I just have to be able to get it sharp. And I don't. You know, if I was honing a straight razor or honing a chisel, because a chisel, is kind of an extension of your hand, and you're doing really super fine work sometimes with a chisel. Almost or just as every bit as fine as sometimes you can do with a hand plane. Then I might sweat the details a bit more, but with this, all I'm doing is trying to get an edge on this that I can use, and if it shaves, that'll work. So what I'm going to do, you can use one of these little honing guides for like chisels, plane blades, stuff like that, but if you look at this, there's really not enough room to really get any kind of angle on that. So this kind of blade, you're going to have to do by hand. And all I'm doing is flipping it up here till I find where it fits and bring it forward. Now I could go back and forth, but I'm noticing when I try to do that, it wants to rock like this. So my best bet is to take it slow and easy. Find that angle. And I'm using a bit of pressure, quite a bit, actually. And when my hand gets used to that motion right there, I can draw that. That's working. And a pulling motion is working a lot better than a push motion. So I'm just gonna, with these kind of things, this is a small blade. You gotta sort of find what works, and you might have to take a longer bit of time to do something like this than you would say that with that longer blade that you, okay, that doesn't exist here on this, but you can see it's already polishing the edge up. So I'm going to do this till I find a burr. And all I'm doing is finding that angle there, pulling back against it, and then I'm just sliding it back up here till I get to the next, so I can get ready to pull it again. So we will, looking for damage on the edge now that it's clean. And there's a really tiny nick right there, but that will, it's so small, it will disappear with honing. So I'll see you on the 1K side. I'm just going to keep honing this blade till I have it right. Alright, we're back. And what I did was I cleaned up this surface, the bevel, really well, and then I did put it in this jig as far out as I could extend it. And what that did, it wasn't far enough to do the primary bevel, but what I did was do a secondary bevel on this on the end of it, or a micro bevel, or whatever you want to call it. And now what I'm going to do, this is a strop. I'm going to take some, if I can find it, some green compound. And paste that with. Now, this is green compound that I got from Harbor Freight. It's 0.5 micron, but you need to understand something. You guys know I'm a straight razor honer. This is not fine enough. It's not pure enough to use on the edge of a straight razor. There are other pastes. Get it from someplace like Maggard or someplace like that if you're going to use it on a straight razor. This is strictly for tools, and I'm just going to very lightly strop. Get that back in case there's any kind of burr hanging on it. I'll set that over here. And it's shaving like a scalded 8. So let's see. That may not be out far enough. I'm going to give it a shot on a piece of wood and adjust accordingly. And now I'm just using it to round these corners off. Beautiful. Okay, let's see about the let's try that. Because if I wanted to, I could work on the center here. The depth of cut is a bit deep. Let's see what happens if I back that off a hair, if I can without losing. Still too deep. I actually made it deeper that time because it slipped forward when I went to adjust it. And you could probably, yeah, there we go. Very thin cut. Very nice. Let's see. Mostly this is, you will pull it to you, but if I want to round that corner and I don't want to catch it like that, I'm going to logically, common sense wise, I'm going to do this. But that's beautiful. 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 Thin. Beautiful thin shavings. To work in one area and concave that area. This is meant to be a tool to shape with, and they work really well. That's beautiful right there. A little finicky to adjust, but that's not something that bothers me. Didn't take that long. So, Spokeshave, Rehab, sharpened, and ready to go. God bless you, and thanks for watching.